Hey, what's going on? We are live. It is 9 p.m. Eastern Time on August 13th, and this is the 87th episode of the Seagulls Beverage Lab podcast. Yes,
Wow.
it is. For, again, Wednesday, and man, we're getting close to that 100 mark, and we welcome you guys back. We have a guest this time, and we're looking forward to chatting with him because it's one of the most popular breweries in the area in New England and soon to take over the world. We'll get to that in a little bit. I am, again, Brian from Seagulls Beverage Lab and the New Hampshire Beer Book, and I'm drinking the Marshall Wharf Phil Brown Ale. Thanks to my beer buddy at BM Watts on Twitter for the get. Big fan. And Carla, welcome back.
Hey, how you guys doing? Carla Jean Lauder here, known online as the Beer Babe. I'm actually drinking a Victory Moving Parts, which is an IPA from Victory, limited release. Really good. Nice and hoppy.
Excellent. Mike.
Hello, world. Mike Meredith here at Mo Meredith on Twitter with the NH Beer Book. Fortunately, I'm drinking water tonight, coming off a nasty cold. Still on some medication, so don't want to go all loopy on you guys, but very excited to have be back on the podcast tonight. So.
Most excellent. Good to have you back, you silly goose. Speaking of silly goose, Norman Miller.
Hey, Norman Miller, Beer Nut at West Philly News, Gatehouse Media, and Real Beer Nut on Twitter. And tonight I'm drinking Jack Debbie for Legend, just released today. The first Oktoberfest of the season for me.
Oh, man. Here we go, folks.
Drinking it by the liter, like you can drink all Oktoberfest.
Norm is the Martin Luther King of beers, just breaking all sorts of boundaries right now when it comes to seasons. But let's get right to it. We have a very, very special guest. We've tried long and hard to get him on the show, and for God's sakes, we got him on tonight. We have Mr. Dean Rowan of Treehouse Brewing Company of Munson, Massachusetts. We welcome you, Dean. How's it going?
Hi, everybody. How you doing? It's going well. Glad to be on. Thanks for inviting me. This is something new to me.
Oh, excellent. Well, what are you drinking?
Well, I just happen to be drinking a little bit of our double IPA, our new double IPA haze.
Nice.
So,
and it's good to have another special guest behind you. Is that 8 Point Buck?
Oh no, that's actually that's 198 Boone and Crockett 14-point buck.
Woo! Man, first year on the podcast was always a win for purse.
That's an homage to my father.
Oh, excellent. We have a full chat room, and I'm gonna try to I'm gonna let Norm do most of the talking and passing of the questions between us, but I'll be monitoring the chat. We have about 10 people in the chat right now, so let's ask Dean some good questions. Most of which already know Dean, but I want to hear some good questions from the chat. So let's kick it off. I mean, a lot of people in New England know very much about your brewery. But we also have a kind of a wider audience across the country. Why don't you give us a little background on how Treehouse began?
Treehouse is a group of friends, to tell you the truth. That's how it began. We began actually not brewing beer. We began playing music together, and Nate, who's our head brewer and pretty much the conceptual founder of Treehouse, he's a hell of a lead guitar player. So
Nice.
when Damien and I, our other co-owner, were together, always playing, Nate came in and sat in on some good jam sessions, and we started making music together, and Nate just always brewed beer.
What's your instrument choice?
I'm a bass player, vocalist.
Awesome.
Play a little everything.
Cool. And then the idea just came once you started brewing to kind of get behind that and make something bigger.
Yeah, Nate pretty much had the idea in his head. I'm pretty sure from birth, but it followed along once we started going on bigger and better things. We started really making beer in any type of quantity, which is not any more than regular homebrew, but enough to give it to other people, and people started tasting it. That was enough for us to say, yeah, let's do this, and we moved slowly but surely onto a Brew Magic, little 12-gallon system, and then back to now to a 5-barrel.
Nice. And I mean, for those that go now to your brewery or went to your first location, I mean, I remember Mike and I's first trip there. It was you just spinning, literally taking like records and playing them, and like the second they were done, replacing with a new record. So you knew something.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a fun place to be, and you can tell it's a musical background you guys have, but it's always a fun and welcoming place. Would you mind talking a little bit about your first location, and feel free to not get into any crazy specifics, but kind of what happened at your first great location, and then, yeah.
Yeah. There's actually not a whole lot behind the curtain. Most people know what happened at the first location. It got bigger faster than we really thought it would, and maybe not all of it. God bless you.
Yeah, it's Norm's sneeze. No, it's Norm's dog.
Maybe not all of us, because Nate said it all along, and we all didn't believe him. That if you make good beer, people will come, and that was pretty much the beginning of what we did. And literally from the day we opened the doors, we were bigger than we thought we'd be, and it kept escalating. It was crazy. And so, for those of the people that had been to our Brimfield location, you can certainly know that the 16-car parking capacity we had was a tough one, and it was tough. I'm sure just as tough for the neighbors on the road. We had thought that we did everything by the book and everything we were supposed to do. We talked to the town. We talked to all the town officials, and long story short, we got too big too fast, and obviously ruffled a few neighbors' feathers. But that being said, we got to move to such a prime location for what we're doing.
Yeah. And just a couple weeks ago, you guys just made a big move too. You broke ground on a new brewery, a new space.
Yeah, we did. It's it's been a while coming. Actually, way back last July is when we started talking about the new brewery and getting our paperwork and all of our funds and everything that we needed to do started. So it's been a long process since last July, but has finally come to fruition actually in the breaking of the ground. Yeah, Norm, that was a big day.
That's great. I mean, we have one chat question that kind of will transition it into your new spot. Obviously, is what do you miss most about the old brewery space, and do you plan on bringing any of that magic that you had, a Treehouse in particular, to your new space?
Yeah, it's kind of a tough one, Brian. We're trying to do a little bit of not keeping secrets.
Sure.
But God, we'd love to be able to have a grand opening and have everyone come see Treehouse the way we want it to be. But in the same terms, we have to tell people what's going on a little bit. So yes, there will be a Treehouse, and a big beautiful Treehouse. Damien,
nice.
whose property the Brimfield Treehouse was on, is responsible for a lot of the things that are creative and aesthetic, as far as the woodsy, natural kind of thing, looking at Treehouse, and he's got the Treehouse in his head. It's going to be cool, and the koi pond and all that kind of stuff is all coming back.
So, I mean, you already said two things that I haven't seen in months, and I mean, because Mike and I are both from Belchertown.
Right.
I haven't heard the words Treehouse or koi pond used in the same sentence for that town, so we're looking forward to that.
Well, at least not in Maine, because koi fish are actually illegal in Maine. They don't let you have them, like even at like Chinese food restaurants and stuff.
Nice.
We can't eat them.
No, nobody eats them, but they actually came up and raided like all these restaurants that had them there and took them away, which I thought was funny. So just going back for a second, kind of backing up, outside of the brewery discussion we've just been having, for those who are not familiar with your beer, can you give like a line, kind of a rundown of the types of beer that you brew, or what people can expect if they find your beer?
Sure. As far as looking for our beers online, you can certainly go to any of the the online type of critical places like such your Beer Advocates, your Untappeds, any of those things, and find a rundown. You can go also to our website, treehousebrew.com, and you can find basically all the beers that we're doing. There's been a couple of one-offs that aren't on there, but you can find descriptions and and the lineups of beers that come seasonally as well. But I guess to start out, we focused a lot on our ales, our pale ales, our IPAs, and our APAs, and very soon after followed with a milk stout that we grew to fall in love with, called That's What She Said. Also we have a few different stouts, percolation, double shot. We have a couple of porters.
For those beers, I guess my question is, when did you start when did you see the need to expand across the street in your new space? Was it you're making a lot of new beers, or there just high demand for these beers?
Across the street in the new space was always the plan.
Okay.
The space that we're in right now was a temporary space from the get-go. We had always planned to build a new brewery, but moved from Brimfield to Munson so quickly that was the option. It was either that or stop production, and we weren't going to do that.
Yeah. And Norm, do you have something?
No, I was going to say, I know it was a couple of weeks ago when I talked to Nate. He was jokingly referring to the new brewery is going to be called the Julius machine to basically keep up with the demand for Julius, and then you'll be able to do all the other beers that he wants to do on the older equipment. And I'm just wondering, how is that like realistic? Is that one of the main beers you could be producing more of? Is Julius?
I know that we're going to have we'll have the opportunity to produce a heck of a lot more beer, and Julius obviously being one of the ones in our site to produce more of. The thought is to be able to produce in the new equipment more of the our bigger IPAs, and then continue to brew our other beers as well, and also be brewing on the 5-barrel system.
Now, and I don't know if it's just me being an observer of the whole scene like we all are, but Mike and I were at the American Craft Beer Fest, and actually, Mike, I was stealing your question. Why don't you go ahead and ask about that real quick?
As
you were typing, I was saying it. Nice.
As Brian said, we were at the ACBF this year, and I gotta hand it to you, man. That was one hell of a line you had on both days.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
And I just was wondering if you wanted to kind of like speak to that and the collaboration with Lawson's, and like I guess generally how you guys have been feeling the love from the public. So,
good question, Mike. I guess it's hard to explain. I've never been in a business that has been so publicly driven. You guys have a very big voice in what happens out in the craft beer world. I was a plumber, and really when I was working, it didn't much matter what the public thought. We did what we needed to do for the homeowners and for the commercial industry, and all that, this blogging and all that kind of stuff didn't affect me. And to see this kind of interaction that will drive the business is so cool. And to see it up front and in person at a place like ACBF or EBF as well, those fests where hundreds and thousands of people just come in and talk to you for, even if it's that quick 10-second time. It's incredible. I don't even know how to speak to the volumes of what that does for me, because I don't know if I was out there talking when you were there, Michael, but I would just walk up and down the lines and talk to people. It was so cool.
I think that's the best part too. Is, I mean, and it's not a diss on any of the other breweries that were there, because some of them were doing the same thing. But to be able to, you're waiting in line for this sample of beer, and then you have to go back in line for another one. But to be able to have someone come up and talk to you as you're waiting in line, it adds another layer to this beer fest. Like, sure, we're just there in line, but we're also here to, get the scoop from you guys, because I mean,
right.
That was not to say it was unexpected, but that was crazy. The line, it was almost like people knew you guys had something good, and they just zoomed right to it. And then, as a couple people in our chat are commenting, but I'm not sure they're spelling it right. They're screaming "Yarg."
Yarg.
Because that, I mean, and no matter where Mike and I were, it could have been in Trillium in the other corner of the booth, or of the fest. We could just hear these pirate screams.
Yeah.
Like, we know Treehouse is having one hell of a time with Lawson's right now. That's a great name for a beer too.
Yeah, and I gotta say too, you guys made it really interactive. Like, a lot of times just waiting in line for a beer at those festivals can be like watching paint dry, because you're literally just standing there and nobody wants to talk to anybody. They're just like, dead set on the beer. But to your point, walking up and down the lines, getting to know people, and just shouting. Almost, to some people, might be nonsense, like that, but like that, that just got everybody jacked up and that much more excited. And good for you. You were like a carnival barker, like drumming up business, getting people to come in and like actually come in.
Yeah, it was a blast, dude. It was, it really was a blast, and to be there, like when we looked at the map for ACBF, where your tables were going to be and where this was going to be, when we saw. Lawson's Finest Liquid table number 1, and then table number 2, Treehouse Brewing Company. It's just one of those things where, when you're going on your third year, we're 2.5, almost 3 years in business, and Sean Lawson has been someone we've looked up to for a while, and to be talked about in the same realm as him is that type of a brewery. It's just sets you back a little.
Yeah, and you guys are still how big is the system you're on right now, or what's the end goal?
Currently brewing in a 5.
5. Okay, 5 barrel.
Yeah,
okay.
And we have 3 5-barrel fermenters and 4 10-barrels. And
it's mostly growler fills at this point.
It's 100% growler fills. Our tap accounts are sitting at bay for a little bit. We haven't been able to keep any beer in-house to be able to send it out to the taps.
It's a crazy like honeymoon problem. Not even honeymoon. It is what it is, right?
Yeah, it's been one of these things where the battle cry since almost the day we opened has been, what a great problem to have.
Yeah.
Everyone always says it. And to tell you the truth, yes, it is a great problem to have, but it's something that we're constantly working on, trying to make any concessions to make a little bit easier for people to get our beer, a little bit easier for people to get in and through our lines, and it's yeah, it is what it is.
Awesome. So I kind of have a little two-parter follow-up to that. There's a lot of new breweries in Massachusetts and frankly in the whole U.S.
Right.
Going on, and I'm just wondering, firstly, how have you found yourself fitting in with the mass beer scene? Do you guys stand out? Are you competing with other people that get on tap places, or is it just is there still room enough for everybody there? And then just the follow-up is, are you thinking about doing any canning or bottling sometime down the line?
Yeah, the fitting in thing and fighting. See, and it might be my naivety is that we haven't had to face that fighting for tap lines thing.
Yeah.
Basically, even our business plan to the bank showed 65 to 70 commitments for tap lines if we can give them a keg. But so the problem is that we can't supply the kegs at this point. The product, we don't have enough product. But fitting in with other breweries and competition with other breweries, it's not. I haven't found us to be competitive in not, the real sense of the word. I think that our major goal is to continue to just be making really good beer that we enjoy drinking, and hopefully that transitions to people enjoy drinking them as well, other people, customers.
Awesome.
Does that do it, Michelle? I don't mean to.
Yeah. No, that's kind of what I was getting at. No, that's kind of what I was getting at. I'm up here in Portland, Maine, and there's a lot of crunching for tap space. We don't have a lot of the tap space as much as some of the accounts down there. So I'm always curious to see kind of what the community's like down there, and how you guys are dealing with it. But it sounds like you're more being limited by your own capacity than you are being limited by anything external to you.
Right. It sounds like maybe a just general population. We can probably get more people in the doors to buy our beer on site.
Right.
Than maybe somewhere up north where the populace isn't as compact.
Right.
And they're not able to make the trip as much.
And are you going to be doing any other packaging down the line, like later? Are you thinking about doing canning or bottling?
Sure. Absolutely. Canning is one of the things that we're definitely, we're working on canning in the future.
Awesome. Yay.
Yay is right.
And the Julius that you're promising right now, or
what was that, Norm? I couldn't hear you. You were breaking up.
Okay.
Norm comes out of Munson with an empty can and just says, "Fill it with Julius." And that's his victory right there.
There's your promissory note.
Oh man! So with my father goes at Rick Brews on Twitter, goes to probably twice a month or so on the weekends, and he takes a picture, and the line is huge. With that kind of demand, do you stick to any one beer? Do you always do at least one or two consistent beers, or do you keep trying to invent something new?
I think that our stable of beers is our stable of beers. We'll always continue to do our stable of beers.
Okay.
But the funny thing about Nate is that I don't think he'll ever be 100% satisfied with anything. And I can walk into the brewery and Nate has an assistant brewer, and when his assistant is out, when Brendan's not able to be there, I'll go in and help Nate. I'll fill buckets and do the kind of things that I can do to stay out of his way and make his day easy. I can go in thinking we're brewing one beer one day, and he's got something totally that we've never heard of in the recipe.
That's awesome.
It's awesome. It is awesome. I'm pretty fortunate as a 48-year-old plumber that I hooked up with Nate and Damien, and that this is the path this brewery is taking. So
not for nothing, there are plenty of plumbing problems in the brewing world. Be it bathroom or mash tun. Doesn't
Yeah. Amen.
Normie, you got anything?
Yeah, Dean. When I was out there a few weeks ago, I was talking to Damien. And it was funny, I was asking him, because Nate's role is obviously the brewer. Damien, who doesn't even drink beer, is, more of like the business guy. And I was asking what your role was. And he just sat there and looked, and he's like, well, a lot of breweries have good beer. A lot of breweries have good brewers. But we're the only brewery that has a dean. So I'm just still don't understand, what's exactly your role there? What do you bring to the brewery? I'm just wondering, because like you were saying earlier, you're almost like, at the festival, you're almost like an advocate. And when I went to the brewery, you're sitting there playing guitar when I first showed up. So I mean, what do you do?
Jesus, Norm, trying to get him fired.
I don't know. Do you see my T-shirt?
Yep.
Oh, I got it. Look at that.
I'm with Dean.
I need that
I
shirt.
don't know if any of you guys have a T-shirt. I'm just saying, I didn't know that I'd have a T-shirt in my life. So,
Norton does have a T-shirt, yeah.
I do have a T-shirt actually.
oh, you have one?
Yeah, it's a wanted poster.
It's in the post office.
Awesome.
No, there are a couple of different roles other than just the whole Treehouse Dean and the guy that plays the guitar. I am a plumber, so I'm a technician, so I'll do any of the technical stuff. When a pump goes, I'm the one changing the valves and changing the gaskets. And actually, one of the things about brewing that happened in the very beginning when we started brewing together is that in the small systems and when you're home brewing and things like that, there's always something that has to be done. There's always a pump that has to be primed. There's always water that's got to be dumped somewhere. There's always something. And I was just kind of the always guy that would get the pump going or get the water going from one place to another. And subsequently, when Damien and Nate and were doing a lot of the brewing, I wasn't learning a lot of those things that Damien learned right off the bat. So Nate has been working very diligently, and I have to give him a little bit of props on his patience to teach me a lot of the ins and outs of the actual brewing part of the game.
That's good because we need a vice president, someone that steps in case the man goes down.
Good God, don't even say it.
No. And it also looks like Norm, are you trying to take his job right now? What's happening right now?
Yeah, it's a coup, Norm.
Oh man. But yes, do we have
Car on Saturday. So pretty fun.
Oh boy. I think I want to ask
What
one
was
more.
that?
What'd you say, Norm?
You want to come and play guitar, Norm?
I'm gonna hang out at the brewery on Saturday every Saturday. It looks like fun.
It's a blast. It is a blast, and if you could certainly come on Saturdays and hang out with us every Saturday, but that also means you got to hang out from 6 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night every other day of the week.
Norm can't do that. Let's see. Do I have one more chat question? One chat question was, are you guys going to Hop Jam?
We are.
All right.
As far as the crew that will be going to Hop Jam, the problem with all these festivals is that we're open for retail on Saturdays.
Yep.
And we're open for Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays for retails. And we don't have the manpower.
Norm can be your babysitter. Let Norm be.
Drink all the beer.
Oh my God.
We'll drink every beer they bring to the festival.
We just don't have the manpower to staff a lot of the festivals. So I think Hop Jam, I might be going myself or taking one other person with me to Hop Jam. And we'll also be doing Septemberfest up there.
Oh, all right.
Cool.
Any final questions before Carla brings it home? Mike, Norm, got anything?
No, I'm good, man.
So Carla, let's set him up with the 1-2 punch here.
Sweet. I've lost track of the total quantity of guests that we've had on this show, but pretty early on, the first couple guests that we had, we started to ask this question to all of them. So this is kind of a universal question for everybody. We call it our little moment of Zen question. And the question is, obviously right now there's tons of new breweries opening, lots of people, with the dream of opening their own brewery. And what we've been trying to ask owners and brewers is, if someone comes to you today and says, I really want to do what you're doing, I want to open my own brewery, what advice do you give them and what do you tell them as in your position and your experience?
As Treehouse Dean, in my position?
Yeah, what the hell?
Sure.
Of course.
I have two answers to that. Number one, make sure you have a Nate. And that being said, make sure you have that person that's going to be able to carry you through recipes and business plans and has that head brewer mentality that anybody that knows head brewers that are successful head brewers, they all have it. And number two, say goodnight to your family for about 2 years, because you're going to spend a lot of time working hard and having fun, but working hard if you want to be successful.
Very cool.
That's a great question. I mean, we get, I mean, similar answers minus some of the names, but still, it's
Yeah.
the main theme is a lot of time away and just working.
Hey, can I add a number 3?
Yeah,
Sure.
no, please.
Enjoy what you're doing. Honestly, enjoy what you're doing and enjoy what you're making. Because if you don't like what you're making, no one's gonna.
Man, I'm gonna open and close the show with that quote. If you're listening to MP3, you can hold me to it. But Dean, I appreciate you coming on throughout all the. We always have some glitches with this system we use because it changes every week. But again, what was the website and how can we get a hold of what you're doing next?
Cool. So go to treehousebrew.com, yeah.
That's
and,
fair enough.
And you'll be able to access our webpage and pretty much follow us from there. Our on tap portion of that will absolutely tell you what's coming up our next retail days. He usually keeps that updated. You can look. I would say your best bet to look at when to get what beer at Treehouse would be Wednesday afternoon to Thursday morning at the latest. Nate's big thing is that he won't announce a beer until he's absolutely sure that it's ready.
Nice. All right.
So it's really on the beer schedule.
And then
But
so for those,
that's how to do it.
man. All right. Well, and again,
Can I give one quick shout out
oh yeah, please. The floor is all
before
yours.
you close up?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that one thing that happens at our brewery is we have an incredible group of people that help out, from family to friends, and the help is endless. What happens? Nate's fiance is one of the biggest workers at Treehouse. She works 24/7 for Treehouse, and also has a teaching job. And Damien's wife is a pharmaceutical rep that handles a ton of our business stuff and day-to-day activities. She'll make phone calls. She does so much incredible work. My wife will come in and work at the register and do things like that. We have a very good crew of volunteers that come in and help us. Fred, Jay, Andy, they come in and help, and our buddy Mike Webster, who's trying to be the next Treehouse Dean, but we're gonna leave him out of it.
Yeah. Geez. God, there's a lot of people trying to get in line for that job.
I think Norm's next in line.
Oh no way! Get out of here. But again, all those people, and you see a lot of people behind a lot of these tables at Brewfest. But you know, and Mike was alluding to it before that you guys are having one hell of a time, but there's a shitload of work that goes on to making these beers and putting these beers out. So we want to raise a beer to you, Dean, and the gang at Treehouse for kicking ass and getting more beer out to the masses here. So to you guys, cheers, man, and thank you very much for coming on.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Cheers up, guys.